Hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. It's funny how some people just don't cheat. They want to make sure you're miserable too. Today on rSpace, if I'm sinking, you're sinking too, right? Up first, this OP learned how to float instead. Caught my wife cheating with her childhood friend. This happened in 2023. I, 26, had been married to my wife, 28, for 3 years. One day, she told me that her childhood friend has come to town to meet, so she's going. So I tell her, okay, and have a safe trip. But then they meet more than 6 times in 2 months. So I ask her what does he do, and she tells me he is a traveler, and this was the first sign that just hit me up. So one day, I told her that I would drop you off, but she insisted on going alone. Nevertheless, I go with her and drop her off. But this time I have never met her with the friend in real life, just seen his photo. So when I met him and shake his hand, I just got this really bad feeling, or a hunch you can say. So I decided to follow them, which I'm not proud of, and you can guess this that I already saw them kissing and I just left. When I got to home, I was more sad than angry because if she wanted to cheat, she could have just broken up with me first, then go indulge with her friend. I started remembering everything from the last 2 months, like whenever she calls my name, smile, or gives me a kiss. It all just felt like a huge lie. So when she comes home, I confronted her. First she denies, but after 30 minutes into the argument, she accepted it. I didn't show any sadness or angry behavior because I always used to think that when the cheater sees your reaction, that's when they truly feel satisfied, and I could not give her the satisfaction. I moved out of the house for a week, but come back after her repeated requests and forgive her on the condition that I will also sleep with a person and I will not tell you when. She reluctantly accepted. But here's a twist. I'd never forgiven her. For the last 2 years, she was always living in the anticipation that now is the day I will cheat. But I was busy transferring all my assets to my parents and money to my little sister. It's unfortunate that it takes 2 years without her noticing, but nevertheless, I'd done all that and also quit my job and asked for a divorce this April. When we had the meeting with the lawyers, she asked me for the reason, and I tell her you cheated on me. Then she tells me that I also cheated on her due to the forgiveness condition. But here's the fact. I actually never cheated because I have made up my mind about all this when I moved out for a week in 2023. When I tell her this, she had the same face as me when I discovered her cheating. Now I'm divorced, living in the apartment with my little sister, but I'm very happy because the whole nightmare that I had been living with for the last 2 years is over. Let's get a quick reaction from the community. Do you know your ex is with that friend she cheated with? Always interesting how often they don't end up with the person they cheated with. The OP replies, I don't know where she is at this moment because I deleted her number, changed my number, and all the photos and everything. But during this time when we were together, she once told me that he ended up moving to Austria because he really likes it there when he visited. That whole you have to cheat too condition sounds like she was trying to turn the whole thing into a messed up game. It's like she was trying to drag you down with her just so she wouldn't feel so bad about what she did. People who cheat always seem to want to make it a competition or a team effort in messing things up, as if making everyone miserable somehow makes their guilt lighter. Were you ever in a similar situation? Did you cheat back? Share your stories with us. Up next, sometimes the biggest distance isn't the miles between you, but the space people create to be completely different versions of themselves. I just found out my boyfriend of 4 years has been cheating on me for the past 1.5 years, and you'll never guess the ending. Hi everyone, I just want to start by saying I'm new to Reddit, and I am the first time poster, but not new to Too Hot Takes. Also, I don't really need advice on the situation. It's just so bat crazy that I think it would make for a good entertainment. It's a long one though, so crack a crispy cherry Coke, grab a snack, and enjoy the show. Some background that I promise is actually important. I, currently 24 female, 20 at the time, transferred to a different university from community college in August of 2021. I went to a university about 4 hours away and lived in an apartment off campus with no roommates. I basically knew nobody. I met a boy, currently 26, 23 at the time, who had also just transferred in. He was an athlete with 2 extra years of eligibility and needed a new university to play his sport. Since we were both working towards the same degree, we had the majority of our classes together and took interest in each other immediately. We were both into Marvel and sports. A couple months after meeting and both being friends, we decided to be officially together, and were together until about December of 2022 when he graduated and moved back to his home state, 16 hours away. We had no interest at the time in trying the distance, but as you probably guessed, we decided that we wanted to be in each other's lives and started fully dating again in July of 2023, long distance. We made it work by constant calls and FaceTimes. We decided in March of 2024 to take a break because we were both moving to new places and wanted some time to settle in. We spent the majority of the summer and fall talking on and off, and calling as much as we could, but not officially being together or anything. Then in November or December, he called me up, told me he was tired of doing long distance, and that he wanted to move to the state I lived in so we could get married and start our lives together. After he told me that, I just assumed we were together because who the hell says that for craps and gigs, you know? And we did our normal long distance thing up until last week. Alright, now for the real reason you're still here, the tea. Now we are in present day, so 24 and 26 years old. Last week, he told me he was going to be busy with work and probably couldn't talk a whole lot. He's a coach, and spring is busy for the sport he coaches, so I was chill about it. But then we went day after day with no talking, and that's not normal for us. So on Sunday I text him, and my text doesn't go through. And I know I need to go check his Facebook status, and lo and behold, it says, in a relationship since January of 2024. I swear in that moment I almost crapped my pants because we don't have an official date. I call my best friend, we do some sleuthing, and he has another girlfriend in the state he lives in. We do not live in the same state. I'm so mad, I'm seeing red. But then I'm like, I have to get in contact with this other girl. I try to message on Instagram, but can't, so I do it on Facebook. I gather all my receipts and best apologies and send it her way. But then I remember Facebook Messenger is not, hey girly girl, message friendly because of the requests and spam. So because I'm such a girl's girl and have to tell her, I find one of her tagged friends and message her to see if she can get the other girlfriend to see my messages. And this response may be the craziest thing about the whole situation. The other girlfriend finally does see it, and she proceeds to tell me she already knew who I was and to not message any of her friends again. Flabbergasted. I reply and apologize for reaching out to her friend. I didn't want to, I just wanted to make sure she knew. And then assured her that if I knew about her, I would have ended things a long time ago and that he wouldn't be contacting me again. Then, in summary, this girl tells me that she blocked me on his phone and that our whole 4 years of us being together is one way or another, meant nothing to him, and he didn't mean anything he ever said to me. I at that point decided that the girl's girl card was revoked. Like, I know she's in denial, but he and I were boyfriend and girlfriend when they first got together, and like for 2 years before that. As politely as I could manage, I told her that wasn't true. He met my family, he asked me to apply to jobs in his state last summer while they were together, and that some of it could have definitely been lies, but not everything was. When I saw that she read it, I blocked them both on everything, and now I'm officially out of that situation. So yes, that has been the last few days of my life. I'm working through it as best as I can with lots of Taylor Swift music therapy. It turns out screaming the smallest man who ever lived and the black dog can really bring a girl peace. If you made it to the end, I love you and hope you have a magical day. Update. Hey everyone. I never intended to make an update just because I'm pretty done with the situation, but I felt like this was some good information to share. First things first, I want to take a moment to thank all of you for all of the kind words. I wasn't sure what posting on Reddit would be like, but I'm glad I did. It really made me feel seen and to know I wasn't the only one who thought this was all crazy. Now for the update. I haven't spoken to him or the other girl since this all went down. I really have no plans to speak to either of them ever again. But tonight, I was telling my best friend what happened. I knew she would be in town tonight, and I wanted to tell her in person, and she wanted to see what the other girl would look like. So we looked up on her social media, and she looked down all of the pictures and changed her status to single. I will not be reaching out to her again, but I'm very glad that she got herself out of the situation. Everyone handles it differently, and I harbor no hate for her. I'm glad we both are free. Now that I know they are broken up and she's out, I finally feel like I have some real closure. You'd think being 16 hours apart would make keeping things simple easier, but apparently it just made it easier for him to hide a second girlfriend without anyone noticing. Long-distance relationships are hard enough when both people are actually committed. I mean, who needs honesty when you've got 16 hours of space to sneak around, right? What's your experience with long-distance relationships? Let us know below. Up next, forgiveness is earned, not handed out like candy. Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my brother for sleeping with my now ex-girlfriend after my accident, and for refusing him closure? I, 33 male, was in an accident when I was 22 years old. It was near fatal, and I suffered a TBI as a result. I had been dating Jessie, 33 female, for 5.5 years at that point, and she was at the hospital with my family, including my older brother, Cameron, 35 male. Soon after the accident, Jessie found out that she was pregnant and terminated with Cameron's help, and a while after they started having an affair. My sister caught them and forced them to tell me when I recovered, though. Jessie confessed eventually, but she acted like we were going to work through it. I made it clear it would never happen, and I told her I never wanted to see her again, and I wouldn't be going back to our place ever again. Cameron tried to shame me for that, but I kicked him out and refused to see him. Our sister let him know he was dead to me, and I'd never forgive him for it. For a while, he let me work on recovery, but he tried to make amends or whatever, but I rejected it and found out him and Jessie were together and expecting a baby. The whole thing made recovery so much worse, and my sister was honestly the best support and only person I trusted through it all. My parents wanted me to work things out with Cameron and Jessie. They wanted us to be family, and I just couldn't deal with them trying to force me into that after the way I'd been treated. My sister had to be my advocate at times when I couldn't do it myself. I'm back to normal now, but I had a health scare last year in the run-up to my wedding. It was stress-related. Cameron found out the health scare in April, and he asked our sister for my contact details. She refused to give them, so he started showing up at her house until he caught me and my wife there. He was demanding answers about why nobody had let him know sooner about the health scare and why I wouldn't let her share my details. He said we needed to put this to bed once and for all and get closure. I told him I needed no closure, and because he was digging in his heels, I decided to tell him to F off one more time for good measure. He told me him and Jessie both need my forgiveness, and they need me in their lives because their kids ask questions and it sucks not having answers. I told him I'll never forgive them, never let them back into my life, and F him for putting his kids' questions on anyone but him and Jessie. And I told him I'll never give him the comfort of closure. I said he should try being in my position 11 years ago and then have the people who stomped all over you trying to demand forgiveness and closure. I told him to get over himself. My sister had to call the police to make him leave. He would not go. She heard from him afterward, and he was ranting at her that I was willing to die, spiting them, and that it's wrong, and if I'm happy, I should move on and forgive, etc. She blocked him and told our parents she is completely done with Cameron too. They're so upset over what happened, and they asked me if there was nothing that could be done to make me forgive, that they hated keeping my health scare from Cameron and would hate for him to miss out on saying goodbye if the worst happened to me. I told them he should have thought about that before everything. They begged me to be more loving. I admit it pisses me off that they want to brush this all away and for us to play pretend. But am I the a-hole because I won't actually work on forgiving and allowing them closure? Let's see what the community thinks. First up, Cameron has the answers to his kids' questions. He just doesn't want to tell them. Someone else chimes in, not the a-hole. What exactly do they want you to do? Tell the kids how their parents cheated, that their mom actually had been pregnant with their cousin, which led to said cheating, and you hate their parents' guts? Like, what exactly do they think would be smart about forcing a relationship? You owe them crap, and your parents show clear favoritism that they still don't understand why 2 of their kids now are no contact. The OP replies, they expect me to be the loving uncle, brother, and brother-in-law and to act like the past never happened. But you don't forget stuff like that. One more person says, not the a-hole. He was way in the wrong, and if you don't want to forgive him, you don't have to. It's your choice, and everybody else should keep their opinions to themselves. You're definitely not the a-hole here. What Cameron and Jessie did was a huge betrayal, especially while you were recovering. Forgiving them isn't something you owe just because they want it or because your parents think it'd be easier. You went through a lot, and they made it worse. Honestly, Cameron and Jessie should be the ones answering their kids' questions, not expecting you to clean up their mess. Has anyone ever made you apologize and brush things off even when you didn't want to? Let us know in the comments. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time.